welcome to another episode. My name is Manny and this is Grubanny, and today I'll be showing you how to make two extremely delicious Thai salads. The first one is going to be an alkaline vegan salad and the second one will be a vegan salad. There'll be a few deviations from the traditional recipe, so bear with me. Starting off, our main ingredient today will be, you guessed it right, a green papaya. And this is not a special breed or anything, it's just an unripe papaya. You should be able to find these at your local Asian stores or farmers market. Watch this video to the end and let me know which one of these salads you prefer. Now let's peel this papaya and see if it's good enough. Carefully peel the papaya skin using a wide peeler or a knife. While I was peeling the papaya, I noticed it was starting to get ripe, so I had to run to the store to get an actual green papaya. Now that's better. This is actually what you want, an unripe papaya. It's funny because when I was younger, I used to call this pawpaw, not papaya. Anyway, let's cut this open and see what we have inside. Excellent. As you can see, the seeds are still white, and that's another indication that the papaya is still unripe. The next step is to use a spoon to remove the seeds. After the seeds have been removed, the next step is to shred your papaya. A mandolin is one of the kitchen tools you can use to shred your papaya, and this is the attachment I'll be using. Grab your papaya, place your mandolin at an angle and shred. I'll stop right here and show you the result. The attachment I used will produce thinner slices, which is not typically ideal, but it works. Let me show you another method. The second method is to use a box grater. Just make sure you're using the larger holes on your grater. This method produces slightly thicker but shorter strands. The second method is to hack the back of the papaya multiple times with a knife. This method is very dangerous, but it produces the most accurate results. Gently hacking the back of the papaya multiple times with a knife would form slits that could eventually be shaved off to look like this. Now this is more accurate. Welcome back. Whatever method you use, you want to get something like this. This isn't perfect, but it works. Normally, you throw this in ice water to keep it crunchy, but I don't feel like it today. Anyway, we're going to set this aside for now and prep the other ingredients that go into making this awesome salad. The first salad we're going to be making is going to be a vegan version, so of course it's okay to use carrots. Over here, I have 2 large organic carrots and I'm just going to peel them real quickly. You don't have to use 2 carrots. You can use more, less, or even none at all. Next, I'm going to grate the carrots using the larger holes on my box grater. You can also use a mandolin. Once you're done grating, you can set the carrots aside and work on the next ingredient. If you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to hit the like button. Over here, we have some tamarinds. These are nature's sweet and sour candy. They have lots of health benefits, but since I'm not a nutritionist, I'll skip them. I've had these for quite a while and they're almost dried out, but they're still good. To get to the flesh, we're going to have to crack through the harder outer shell. If you want to do this right, you're going to need some special equipment called your fingers. Don't mind me. Once you press hard enough on the shell, it'll crack open. It's really not difficult. Just make sure you peel off any stuck on shells. You can also peel off all of the veins you see wrapped around it, but since I'm not eating it directly, I don't mind. Since most of the flesh is water soluble, what we're going to do is add it to a bowl, then pour some boiling hot water over it. This isn't a fast process, so I recommend you let it sit for at least 45 minutes to an hour. Over here, I have a 1/4 cup of dried raw peanuts. You can also use roasted peanuts if you wish. Add your peanuts to a cast iron pan set to medium heat. I like mine lightly roasted, so I'm going to let it roast for about 3 to 5 minutes. Once it's done, if you want to, you can get rid of the skin. All you have to do is grab a handful, rub it between your palms, and you're done. Skip this step if you already have roasted and unsalted peanuts. Of course, if you're allergic to peanuts or any of the ingredients I used in this recipe, skip them. So over here, I have about a quarter cup of raw green beans. The traditional recipe calls for long beans, but you can also substitute with green beans. Blanch it for about 3 minutes. Once your beans are done, set them aside to cool down completely. Over here, I have about 1 or more cups of cherry tomatoes. We're going to be using about 10 to 16 cherry tomatoes per recipe. Slice all of your cherry tomatoes in half, then set them aside. Coming up next for our vegan recipe, we have 3 cloves of garlic. Slice off the bottom of your garlic cloves, then set them aside. Over here, I have some key limes. The traditional recipe calls for regular limes, but key limes will work as well. Slice your key limes in half lengthwise. It's easier to squeeze that way. Set them aside. Over here, I have some chilies, and I'll be using about 3 to 5 of them. Only use as much as you need and don't exceed your tolerance level. For now, we're just going to pluck out the stalks and set them aside. We'll come back to them later. Our tamarins have been soaking for about an hour now, and they should be ready. There are several ways to make tamarind paste or sauce, but I'm just going to go with the laziest way I know. Grab your masher and mash your tamarins until all of the seeds come out of the pods. You'll notice the flesh will start to dissolve and form into a paste. Pour a touch of water over it to loosen up the paste, then use a spoon to move it around. Lift up your strainer, scrape under it, and you should get something like this. Now, we're going to add all of what we scraped into the water in the bowl, and we'll get our sauce. Again, there are several methods to achieve this, but this works for me. Let's begin the actual work. Over here, I have a granite mortar and pestle. Traditionally, this isn't ideal, but it works. You'll enjoy making this salad if you have the traditional larger mortar and pestle. But if you're like me and you don't, you have to make do with what you have. Add your chili peppers to the mortar, then add your garlic. I don't need an eye protector, but if you do, put on your eye protector and start pounding until everything is broken down. Once that's done, you can add about 10 to 15 green beans. I know some people like to eat these raw, but just make sure you blanch your green beans just as I showed you earlier. Now we're going to pound it lightly as we're not looking to make a paste out of it. Since this is a vegan recipe, we can't use crabs or any crustaceans. So to make up for the lack of crustaceans, we're going to be using some nori. Nori is a seaweed and it's delicious. I'm only using 2 sheets, but you could use more or less. Tear your nori into pieces and add them to the mortar. If you've never tasted nori, you should. They're easy to find anywhere online. Next, we're going to need the juice of a couple key limes. Even though this is a vegan recipe and almost anything flies, try not to use the artificial lime juice. That's just yucky. I'm using 4 tablespoons. Next, I have 2 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar. You don't want too much of this. The next ingredient is about 2 to 3 tablespoons of vegan fish sauce. Add your vegan fish sauce and grab your coconut aminos. Add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of coconut aminos to replace soy sauce. Of course, vegans can also use soy sauce. This is an ingredient I really didn't want to use, but I just had to. I'm using 3 tablespoons of light brown sugar since I couldn't find palm sugar. Next, we're going to add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of our plain tamarind sauce. Now give everything a good mix. If you're like me and you like yours runny, give it a taste and make any necessary adjustments. Trust me, you wouldn't believe how good this tastes if I told you. Alright, let's move on. Pour the contents of your mortar into a larger bowl. Once you're done, grab about 10 to 16 cherry tomato halves and squeeze. These were supposed to be lightly pounded in the mortar, but after tasting the base, I've lost my patience. Back to our shredded green papaya. These are lightly bitter, so everything we've made so far will balance it out. We're going to add about 2 cups of shredded green papaya to our base. So I like my green papaya salad wet and dripping with sauce. If you don't like it that way, add some more shredded green papaya. Next, we're going to add some of our toasted peanuts and leave the other half for later. Now we're going to lightly pound it. Remember our shredded carrots? Add a 1/4 cup. Next, add your lightly crushed peanuts. Now we're going to mix it until everything's properly coated in sauce. This looks so beautiful already, but we're not done yet. Chop 1/8 cup of basil. Yeah, I didn't realize my chopping board was warped until now. Anyway, add your basil. Next, grab, chop and add a 1/4 cup of fresh cilantro. Add your cilantro to your salad, then give it a good mix. Grab a serving bowl and serve to your heart's content. Add the remaining half of your toasted peanuts and you're good to go. So, I don't normally do this and I'm not an advocate for division, but I have to say, since I started eating Thai food, they've consistently made it to the top 10 best foods I've ever tasted. Alright, let's make the alkaline version. Thai people, accept my apologies in advance. For the alkaline version, we're going to be replacing garlic with 2 whole scallions. Alkaline vegans do not eat garlic. We're going to be chopping our scallions, but before we chop them, you want to remove the outer layers of your scallions as they're tough. Chop your scallions and set it aside for now. Next, we're going to be chopping 1 thumb-sized fresh ginger. Wash and bring back the mortar and pestle again. Since alkaline vegans don't eat chilies outside of cayenne pepper, we're going to be replacing cayenne pepper with 1 or 2 habanero peppers. Because it's raw, I'm only using 1, but if you use 2, you better have the fire marshal's number on speed dial. Add your habanero pepper with the seeds in or out, then add your chopped ginger. Pound your pepper and ginger until they're properly broken down. Use a spoon to scrape the sides while pounding. Now for this one, you're going to need some eye and nose protection. Next, we're going to be adding 2 sheets of nori, and we're going to be doing the same thing we did with the vegan recipe. Tear them apart and add them. Add a handful of your chopped scallions. Give it a light pound and let's move on. Over here, I have 1/8 cup of walnuts, and since we're not using peanuts, we need something else to replace the crunch. Walnuts are not typically used in this dish. This is my own twist. Add half of your walnuts now and reserve the rest for later. Next, I have about 10 to 12 pieces of Brazil nuts. You should soak all of your nuts and re-dry them before using them. Add 10 pieces of your Brazil nuts and reserve 2 for later. Pound the nuts until they're broken into smaller pieces, and you can use a spoon to scrape the sides while pounding. Once you're done pounding, add everything to a large bowl. Next, we're going to slice some key limes and add about 2 to 4 tablespoons of key lime juice. Alkaline vegans do not consume regular limes, only key limes. To replace soy sauce, we're going to be adding about 2 to 3 tablespoons of coconut aminos. For For sweetness, we're going to be adding 2 tablespoons of pure agave syrup. In order to replace the taste of peanuts and to make it slightly creamy, we're going to be adding about 3 to 4 tablespoons of tahini. For more sourness, you can add about 2 tablespoons of tamarind sauce. Next, grab, squeeze and add about 10 cherry tomato halves. Note that I'm squeezing it because I wasn't able to fit it into the mortar. For more sweetness and texture, you can add about 1 tablespoon of date sugar. This dish is totally deviated from the norm. Add 1/8 of a cup of chopped fresh basil and cilantro. Give it a good mix until everything is coated. So, this is what our base looks like, and you can go ahead and give it a taste before making final adjustments. Now we're going to add about 2 cups of our shredded green papaya and give it a really good mix. Mix until everything is properly coated. Now you're going to find that this version is way creamier than the vegan version, and that's because of all of the sauces we added. Once you're done, you can serve it into a bowl. Add your walnuts and your Brazil nuts on a chopping board and chop. You can also use some of my candied walnuts. I bet that will taste amazing. Anyway, you want to add your chopped Brazil nuts and walnuts, then add 1 teaspoon of sesame oil followed by a handful of raw sesame seeds. Then don't forget the raw scallions, guys. That's really important. There you go. Here are both salads. I guarantee you, these salads are like nothing you've ever tasted. Thai food will always shock your taste buds. So, the vegan version is mildly hot and it has a really good balance of sweetness and sourness. There's also a hint of tartness from the lime juice and the rice wine vinegar. However, the peanuts bring it all together to make an amazing salad. The alkaline version, on the other hand, is hot due to the habanero we used. The combination of the tahini, the agave, and the sesame oil is out of this world. It's really delicious. Now that we're done, I'd like to know what your preferred recipe is and why. Is it the alkaline vegan salad or the vegan salad? Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe.